Welcome to Slow and Steady, a podcast where you get to follow along as we figure out how to build products and recover from burnout. I'm Brian.
And I'm Benedikt. Each week, we'll give you an honest peek into our lives as we figure things out. Today is April 6th, and I'm feeling excited.
This is episode number 85, and I'm feeling rested. Okay, you're excited, recovering from devastated. That must mean...
Well, unfortunately, it doesn't mean that we have a new house or a new home.
Okay, bummer.
It's not that far yet.
Wishful thinking.
I can talk a little bit about that in a minute, but I'm excited because we're launching the companies feature today.
Sweet.
And if I stop talking mid-sentence, probably because I got a retweet or a like or whatever on the phone is constantly buzzing right now, which is kind of nice.
That's awesome. That is great. Well, so what does that mean exactly? Like you're launching the company's feature, your phone's beeping because
yeah, we enabled it for everyone. It was behind the feature flag until, it's still behind the feature flag, but it's not enabled by default. And we have the landing page up for this. We sent out a broadcast about this. We tweeted about it. We posted it to Slack communities we're part of. I'm considering writing a show Hacker News post right after this and post it there. I'm a little bit concerned about that because Hacker News always gets me a little bit nervous.
Yeah, famously critical.
But yeah, that's what we're planning to do, or what you're doing right now. And then when this episode is out tomorrow, we will be on Product Hunt. So if you want to check it out there, hopefully it's on the front page.
Yeah, I was gonna ask if that was fingers crossed. I was gonna ask if that was still the plan. That you talked about this a few weeks ago. Gonna do like a build up launch and then follow up with Product Hunt, not do them on the exact same day. So how's the planning for that feeling? Still wait and see, or feeling good? What's up?
Yeah, I think it's wait and see. I guess we have some anxiety around are we exhausting our goodwill with people?
No.
Will they retweet it today and then click upvote tomorrow? Who knows? But in the end, I feel we don't know until we try. So we just do it, and it can only be better than last time, I guess. We can't do much worse. So I think it should be good.
Right. And definitely seems like, not putting all your eggs in the Product Hunt basket, even if Product Hunt doesn't, get traction, big deal. You've got a good launch on your hands.
Yeah, exactly. That's
cool.
That's the idea. So yeah.
Congrats. That's a good launch. That's a big milestone.
Yeah, it feels good to finally have it out the door. And to be honest, there's still a long list of things we'd like to do and we can possibly do. But then again, I mean, there's a never-ending list of features we can build. So
usually that's the case. But nice. Well, congrats.
Yeah, thank you. I will report back on how everything worked.
So how long has it been? How long ago did you open it up?
An hour or so ago, maybe two.
Okay. All right, that's what I was curious.
Not more than 2 hours ago.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I mean, performance wise, database wise, what's everything looking like? And
no sign-ups so far, but I mean that's not really a surprise. What's kind of encouraging that we got a Slack message from a friend who was like, "Can I do this? Can I do that?" We were, can do it. It's that's what it is, and he's like, "Game changer, sign up." So that was kind of the thing we hoped for. That it, for the people who feel the pain, that it resonates and that I understand what this thing is doing. And it seems to be the case. So let's hope more people feel that pain.
That's great. What else happening over there? I mean, plenty, but
Yeah, lots of things going on. So we had a nice Easter weekend, like a long weekend. We had a public holiday on Friday and on Monday. So we took time off. We planned to have my girlfriend's parents come over for the weekend, but because COVID numbers are rising again, and because like the absolutely shitty week last week with getting the termination of the house and stuff like that, we decided to skip on that and just like do a super lazy weekend and do nothing and just like catch up on sleep that we didn't get a lot of last week. And that was a good call, I guess. We feel much more relaxed and much more calm. We also started the house hunt more or less. Like we had some like 2 viewings already. One was a kind of, well, the apartment was in a nice neighborhood. Like it was basically in the middle of nature. You could see like fields and the forest like from the windows. Probably in the morning see like wildlife, rabbits over the field or whatever. I don't know. But the apartment itself was kind of crappy and it was relatively expensive for the state it was in, even though it was freshly renovated. But they had some like built-in cabinets, and when the realtor like opened them, they almost fell apart. And she, maybe we have to fix it or whatever. So it was like, yeah, okay, I don't know. And then we also viewed the house, which like the house itself was great. The neighborhood it was in, it's a little bit, well, it's not as great as the one we're in right now, mostly because it's directly below the takeoff route of Frankfurt Airport. So you get a lot of planes over your head, but I mean they're relatively high up at this point, so it's probably not that bad. And with COVID and all of it, like it's much less worse than it used to be. But I mean, if things recover quickly, then you get a plane over your head every minute or so. So I don't know. But the house itself was great, and we said that we're interested, and now we're waiting to hear back from them.
Okay.
But I mean, yeah, like there's competition. Like we're not the only ones interested, and so yeah.
Well,
but it would be nice if if it's the second thing we view and we actually get it. That would be nice. Would remove a lot of stress already. But
seriously, just
we keep looking. We keep on looking, and yeah.
Cool.
So that's that part.
When do you think you'll hear back? You have any idea when you'll hear back on that place?
So they said they will have like more viewings this week. They already had made appointments with a couple more people.
Okay.
And I'm hoping they'll respond early next week or so. Like they said, they want to have like a decision by the end of the month, but hopefully they respond before that, because like the amount of anxiety this induces just sitting here and waiting.
just want to have that box checked and move on.
Yeah, exactly. Where we also decided to just like keep looking and like do more viewings and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But honestly, like the market isn't great. There's a lot of crappy stuff and only a handful of things that look decent, and a lot of them are like further away than we'd like. So this particular one is actually, this would be a really good one. But yeah, we have to see. I mean,
okay, cool. Well,
we still have a couple of weeks to figure this out.
All right.
Yeah. What about you? Anything new with you?
Yeah. Handful of kind of things spinning along, but since we last recorded, let's see, gosh, what all have I been? It feels like I have just so many multiple things going. It is honestly hard for me to remember what did I do over the past week, even though I've been extremely, extremely busy. You know how that goes. But the thing I've been working on for the Year on the Road project thing is just getting some. I think I'd mentioned like adding some cameras to the trailer, to the fifth wheel, to make it easier to have a view inside of the truck while we're driving. And so I spent all this time trying to wire up this additional, monitor inside the cab and wiring, these cameras on the trailer to it and like take it. That's why I've got all these cuts on my hand, is like removing parts of the truck and trying to figure out all this wiring and everything. And basically just am at the point where I just have to declare failure and outsource it, take it somewhere, which I just did not want to do. But that's where I'm at on that. So whatever. I keep feeling like, oh man, if I could just once I figure this one part out, then it's done. And I've said that like 37 times now. So, today though, yesterday I got a bunch of client work done in the morning and then spent the afternoon basically building the kids' bunk beds for their room. That feels like it's in a good place. Today, same thing. I'm just going to hammer a bunch of client work out for the rest of the morning here, and then start to put down the new flooring in there. And it's starting to look pretty cool. Which feels really, it's feeling good. Like it's going to be, nice and homey and comfortable, or like feel like our place, when we hit the road.
Yeah.
So that's cool. I hate that it's so, time compressed and that we're under this huge time constraint, because it is really fun. I really like home projects. I love doing those sorts of things. But it has this additional stress on top of it right now that is not delightful, say. So, yeah. So I'll have pictures of the inside of this thing before too long, and then we'll be hitting the road before we know it. On the board game side, real quick, I mean, nothing huge from last week. We're still waiting on the physical prototypes to arrive. It looks like they're going to be printed today, which would actually put us, a couple days ahead of their projected schedule, which would be amazing. And so, yeah, just dying to see it played in person. Graham and I played online, last night, just another playthrough, and it played really, really well. Like very tight. I think the game ran like 50 minutes or an hour, which is amazing considering like before we were having 2.5, 3 hour games. Just like, what the heck? This is not fun, the back end of it. So it has definitely come a long, long way. Which is just so encouraging, so exciting. I just really can't wait for more people to get a chance to try it out. I emailed a few more artists, but haven't really heard back. There's one that I love their work. We both do. We both love their work. And it would be, I think I said this, like couple $1,000 to have the whole game done, like all the individual cards and all of that. But we're just going to start off with just getting some samples and throwing up a landing page. We've decided on calling the company Enchanted Street Games, and so I grew up on Enchanted. It was Enchanted Drive, but Enchanted Street sounds a little bit cooler. So, I dig that. I like that connection there. So Enchanted Street Games. And we'll get a landing page up as soon as we get some art. So that's
actually incorporating this, or how is it going to work?
Just a very simple LLC, just so we can both, put, $500 each into an account and be able to, pay for things out of it for now. And so that if we do end up, licensing it or, doing Kickstarter, we have a bank account for it to go into. So that's just completely separate from each of us. So yeah, it's
getting real.
It's getting pretty real. So week to week progress on it now is definitely slowing down, which feels totally fine to me. That just feels like that's where we're at with it. And yeah, just it seems like the next pieces of it will start to move pretty slow for a few months here, which I think makes sense. It's okay. That's where we're at. So okay, and then I feel like the big thing that I did spend a lot of time working on this week is as a result of the jobs to be done research work that I've been doing for Lego, and then for this other client, that was also just coincidentally in Sweden. Lego's in Denmark, and this other company's in Sweden. And so I've just been having all these super early mornings, and both of these projects are in similar stages. That each of them, I just was like, okay, what's the best way to display the results of the research and the output from analyzing the survey results? And man, I just need to throw up an example of this because it's basically like after you do the interviews, you get this big long list of customer needs, and then you can send out a survey with those things, and then be able to chart all of the results on a graph so that you can visually see, here, if X is importance and Y is satisfaction, then we want to find things that are extremely important on the X axis and low on the satisfaction side of things. So anything in the bottom right, of that graph, you've got some opportunity there. High importance, low satisfaction, right? And so, previously it's just like, okay, plot those things out. Here's a PDF, there's a lot of work. There's a lot you can do with this. But for both of these clients, basically built a little Rails app and outsourced some additional research to a data analyst who knows R. And they were able to push all of the survey output stuff through some cluster analysis and factor analysis and split up the survey population into multiple clusters. And then that data looks really interesting. And so this little Rails app that I've built now, it's very easy to navigate through multiple different clusters. The chart, it's like interactive with high charts, hover over each little bubble and, see all this interesting stuff. And it's like, whoa, this is actually pretty damn good. And so like the wheels are turning. As far as I could completely reposition myself and the output here in a way that might be that's first of all, I think far more tangible than the way I've presented things before through the site and through my proposals and presentations. So yeah, there's a part of me that feels like, ooh, this is something that I could build. We talked last week, I think, after we finished recording, because I sent you a couple Slack messages that was like, hey Benedikt, what's the best way for me to, like, I need some Ruby code that'll do this. And you, like, of course, after me slamming my head against the wall for 20 minutes, you sent back the answer in about 45 seconds. And after we recorded, you were like, hey, are you like making an app for like board game testing or something? I was like, no, this is for the consulting work. So that's what that's what that's been. Yeah.
Well, Brian, kind of sounds like we're going full circle here. Like, wasn't the first app you built something with like features and questions and like reviewing stuff and drawing charts? It sounds like a little bit like feature order to me.
Yeah. Yes. Okay. So that, yes, it's very true. It is very true. Feature audit was meant to be just, hey, put this JavaScript snippet on your site, add some stuff, and now you can see everything charted out for like usage. like real time usage data. And this is for sure more about product design and road mapping, before you ever even get there. Yeah, it is it's laughably full circle in terms of what the visualization would be. It's not it would definitely not be a self-service, low price point SaaS. Yeah. It would be very much, very targeted, high price tag, low volume, kind of an offering. But it for sure, my wheels are turning. And I feel like what feels really good is I feel mentally like I've got the margin to even be, thinking about this and imagining it and envisioning it, which feels good. And I'm hesitant to share this because I just don't know how it'll come off. But at the end of April, when the end of April gets here and all of my outstanding invoices are paid, I will be at the end of April, Benedikt, where I was at the end of November of 2020. In terms of
revenue,
in terms of income. Yeah.
Nice.
It has been ridiculous. These 3 active clients that I have right now, it's just like been bonkers. I just keep waiting to wake up, basically. And so there's this part of me that is thinking, I mean, I could legitimately just take, June and July to focus just on completely repositioning things, or to to build this out and test it and see if there's like a nice consulting offering here. But it just feels so weird to be so after last year and how it felt to just watch, January, February, March, and April do what they've done. It's just, what the heck? It's wild. So I'm very grateful for that. So yeah, I'm trying to think, like, seriously, what did I do different? And
probably nothing. That's the problem with consulting.
Exactly. Yeah. I didn't do anything different in terms of marketing or anything like that, but in terms of, what am I going to quote these projects at, and am I going to be willing to turn down work that does not allow me to keep moving upward? That's what I changed. It just happens that they, came along at the exact same time, which I couldn't control. And it couldn't reproduce if I wanted to. But now that I've got, these couple of projects, and I think what could be a really clear and obvious value proposition, I can completely reconfigure the way that I do, lead nurturing and the sorts of things that I feature on my consulting page. So, yeah.
Well, you've got some good, like, logos to put on there at least.
Right. Yeah.
But you should probably also just try and ask for referrals or something like that.
Yeah, exactly.
Because I feel like just changing your consulting website, I mean, it probably doesn't change anything, does it?
I don't think so. Other than, I have a couple of pages specifically about jobs to be done that rank well enough and bring in, it's not tens of thousands, but it's, a couple thousand visitors per month. And
that's decent.
That's decent enough that should that be able to turn into one project reliably per month? Yeah. And so that's the part that has me thinking, yeah, go ahead.
What's the CTA on those? I guess those are blog posts mostly.
They are blog posts. The CTA is sign up to get access to all of my to get access to my jobs to be done resource library. That's where I have all of my notes. I've got these worksheets, examples, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So sign up and get access to that. And then I send like a 6 email, follow-up campaign. But the follow-up campaign it's not super targeted. It's just like, here's some more stuff about, you're probably early stage, or you're probably trying to figure out how to do interviews. Here's some stuff. And then at the end of it, it's like, would you like to talk? And it's not super refined. It's not nearly as refined as it could be if the whole thing was, you're probably struggling with how to structure your interviews. Let me show you how. Now you're probably struggling with how to survey based on that. Here's how. Now you're struggling with how to visualize it. Boom, this is what you can do. Don't want to do any of this? I'll do it for you.
That sounds like a good pitch, yeah.
Yeah. So now that I have
like
definite, offering, it feels much easier to guide people towards it. Whereas before it was like, every project is different. Here's a bunch of stuff. Let's talk about your different project and how I might be able to figure out how to scope it. If it's not compelling.
Yeah, no. That has always been the part that I struggled with, like coming up with an offering that is interesting enough for people to buy it, but also interesting enough for me to keep working on it. Because I feel like there's a struggle there of like, of course there are a lot of things that people are willing to like spend money on, like productized services and stuff like that, but most of them don't sound exciting to me to be doing them all the time. So that was always the conflict there of like finding something people buy and like reliably buy, and also something that keeps me engaged and like motivated to work on it. But if it sounds like you found something that works for you, so could be interesting.
Yeah. I have found something that works for me and has worked for these 2 clients. Is it viable? Is it the thing? Has this just been random luck, or have I struck upon something here? So anyway, so to kind of get back to what I was saying was it feels like, wow, I feel like I could take a decent chunk of my time in May, June, and July to work on this specifically and to test it out, and spend hours of my week working on the funnel, on the marketing campaign. Whereas we've talked about before, when you're working for yourself, you feel like, well, I can't be doing that right now. I got to do that after hours. I need to be doing client work now, or I'm not billing. And it just feels nice to be able to realize, okay, I can do that, and it's okay. We're out ahead. It's all good. So super grateful.
Nice. Yeah, that sounds like. I mean, that you already made the same revenue that you did like from January to November last year. I mean, last year was a tough year for you.
Yeah, it was.
There was a lot of shitty stuff happening, so it's probably easy to beat that year, but still, I mean, it's only April and you already
did you say, like, the thing, I guess the thing about that is, I mean, that's pretty big, the difference between this year and last year. I think it's also just, even 2019 was a really good year, and I'd be willing to bet that I'm going to be at the end of April where I was in probably like August or something of 19 or 18. Like, it's just been a really, really, really good start. And so, anyway, that's all to say, expect a bunch more Slack messages from me about helping me with backend Ruby.
Anytime. I like this stuff.
Well, I mean, that's pretty much, that's it for me. That's where my 3 year on the road board game and getting consulting turned into a reliable, process. That's where those things are at. All feeling good. All feeling really good.
Yeah. Nice. I'm happy for you. That sounds awesome. Like, I'm a little bit jealous. Like, now that I work full time on product, like the grass is always greener on the other side. Like, just being able to make a bunch of money relatively quickly was a nice aspect of like consulting.
There is no way I hear you saying that you're jealous of me for doing consulting work. I refuse to hear that.
I don't know. I mean, talked about this with a couple of friends lately, that like consulting isn't, like, being a consultant and working on consulting project isn't bad. I think the problem that makes it miserable for most of us is that we try to do two things at the same time, like run the consulting business and build a product business on the side. And then you're basically spreading yourself thin and like burning out because you're not spending your full energy on either of those two. Yes. But if you're like okay with like being a full-on consultant, like, and then maybe just working 3 days a week, but not spending the other days like trying to make something else work, I guess that's a pretty good position to be in. But in a way, that's not us, I guess.
but what is the reason that when you are working for yourself as a consultant, what is the reason that you feel like you need to have something else built up on the side and be working on that?
I guess that's the dream of running your own thing, or like being in control of your own thing. Yeah.
For me, the answer is that consulting is so unpredictable and so inconsistent. That is what I don't like about consulting, is the roller coaster. And that's why it feels like, you can do hit one proposal with a good $20,000, ticket, when it comes along, but that's nothing compared to just steady monthly income. That's the dream. And so that's the part of it for me, why I'm like, I need to have this. I need to be working on something else on the side, figure out how to build up a steady base of income. Because the main thing I don't like about consulting is the thing that is almost always true about consulting, is that it's unpredictable and inconsistent.
Fair enough. I think you're right about that part. Yeah. But like, judging from the position where I'm in right now, like some unpredictable big paychecks, I wouldn't mind those.
Yeah. Yeah. I hear it. I hear you.
I don't know. Yeah. As I said, the grass is always greener on the other side. Like, there's always something to complain about, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah. Talking about Slack messages, though, I complained a lot about like databases last week. And Aaron Francis listened to last week's episode and was kind enough to reach out to me via a shared Slack we're in. Mm-hmm. Basically, Aaron Francis of Hammerstone, they build like Laravel plugins, and they also run a podcast talking about how to bootstrap their business.
Cool.
Anyway, and they were working on a query builder for Laravel, and I think they're also working for Rails plugin these days. Mm-hmm. Anyways, he reached out and basically said like, hey, I have some experience with this. Like, show me some of the queries you're struggling with. And first I was like, yeah, I don't know. I mean, I spend a lot of time on this. Like, what are the chances that he tells me something I haven't considered yet? But I decided, hey, whatever. Like, I can only gain something from this. So I sent over the one query I was working with and testing with. And he got a message and was like, yeah, I think I see something. And then he basically rewrote the query and had some suggestions. And I wasn't quite sure. Like, I had considered his approach, but I figured that it's probably not a good idea to do it this way. but I was totally wrong. So I tried he rewrote the query and I re-implemented it, at least like for testing in my setup.
Mm-hmm.
And it was significantly faster than what we had before. Like
twice as fast?
An order of magnitude faster than what I've been using before. Wow. And I think the trick, like, we do a lot of queries that involve like subqueries, like get me all users where the user has 10 events of a certain name. Okay. So that 10 events of a certain name is a subquery. And previously I would basically execute the subquery for every user in the users table. And the change he suggested was change the subquery to look at all events and group them by user ID and just select user ID from tracked events where conditions grouped by user ID having count greater 10 or something like that. And I had considered this before and was like, nah, like the events table is like 80 million rows. This would like,
that's huge.
Sum up 80 million rows. That sounds like a bad idea, but turns out it's actually a good idea. So it's significantly faster than like only like running the subquery with like select what was the query? Like I did like select true from tracked events where conditions whatever, and then tracked user ID like users.id. So basically running the same small query for every single user. Mm-hmm. And the database is apparently a lot more comfortable with just like dealing with a large data set than it is with running the same query 50,000 times or so. Yep. And like it was like the best 30-minute conversation I had in a couple weeks in terms of ROI.
So even though that table has, I just want to be sure that I'm understanding this. Even though that table has 80 million rows, it's faster for you to say, grab the entire thing, group it by this condition, and then I will select on that condition. That's what you're doing. Instead of saying, look at this table and only return to me the rows where this condition matches, and then I have my whole collection. That's what you were doing before. But now what is faster is just to say, give me the entire table, group it, and then I pull out the subgroup that I need.
Yeah, sort of. So what I did before was basically run the query with the additional user condition in there. So I would check like, is this condition true? Like, does this user have like 10 events? And that would return true or false, and then I'd include or not include the user. And the thing that's faster is like just like give me a list of all users, like just the user IDs of all users that where the condition matches, and I'll check is the current user ID in that set. And it still sounds ridiculous to me that
that does
basically checking for a single value in a large set is much more performant than a bunch of small queries. Yeah. But I mean, I guess databases are built to deal with like large data sets. sounds like that's the thing they do well. And especially, I mean, I guess my gut feeling is probably true if you return like full rows, like with all data and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. But because I'm only interested in the user ID, it can basically do all of this work on the indexes and doesn't even have to touch the disk for this. Yeah. And I guess that's why it works so much better.
So fast. Yeah. Interesting.
And I haven't tried this yet. Yeah, go ahead. I haven't tried this yet, but last week I mentioned that I don't quite understand why the GIN index would be slower for the setup I had before. And my gut feeling is that with this new setup where I'm basically just running one query that touches the large data set, the GIN index might actually work. And like I have like I don't have proof yet, but my feeling is that if I combine this new structure of the queries with the GIN index, I might be able to get like 50x or even 100x of speed improvements from this. So I'm excited.
Yeah, to say the least. That's awesome. I was going to ask if there's some developer tool somewhere. Maybe this is what Aaron Francis and them are maybe what you're saying they're working on, like, is there some developer tool somewhere where somebody just has a Heroku app spun up with 50 million rows in it, and you like there are common types of queries, and it shows you which one is like what's the best way, or you put in your query and it says, hey, try rewriting it this way? Is that just too hard to abstract away, too hard to program without like the human interpreting the query and then saying, here, try it this way?
I don't know. I mean, there's some tools out there that try to help with that, but I haven't seen like one that radically
really
changes. Like, yeah. I mean, PG Mustard that I have, like referred to a couple of times. They do already a good job of like pointing out things that are a problem and that like where you can look at and maybe figure out a new way.
Right.
But like radically changing the way the queries are run, I'm not entirely sure. I guess so much of it depends on what your data set looks like and what's the question you're asking the database. I mean, in a way, it's already insane that there are like we know at least 2 ways of like solving this problem, and there are probably like five other ways to basically ask the same question, and they will be working with different performance and stuff like that. In a way, I always wish like the database is smart enough to just like read the question and figure out the best way on its own, but apparently that's not the case. So
not there yet.
Slightly rephrasing the question helps from time to time, even though the results should be the same.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Well, thanks, man. That is an awesome update. Thanks, Aaron Francis.
Thanks, Aaron. And if people want to follow along, hammerstone.dev, that's where their plugins are at and their podcast. So you should definitely check that out.
Cool.
Yeah. Only downside of this, like now I have to re-implement a lot of things. It's not
Got to sprinkle this around in a bunch of different places for it to truly work. Is that the?
Yeah, I think this is basically the part where we take like user input from the form builder and the query builder and the UI. We serialize that to JSON, and then we take the JSON and build SQL queries from it. And I have to rebuild that part. And after the disaster, I had that happen a couple months ago, where I made some changes to it, and it suddenly matched more than it should have matched. I'm very, very careful with touching that part now. So I need to change the implementation to generate different queries. Then I have to roll out a test and like make sure that the old queries and the new queries return exactly the same thing before I'm comfortable rolling this out. So for this to actually have any effect on Userlist itself, it would probably take a couple more weeks to just work on all of those parts. But I feel like it's worth it because, I mean 2 orders of magnitude, that would be huge.
Huge breakthrough. Totally worth it.
Yeah. And at this point, I mean, it literally saves us money.
Exactly. Well, good luck. Keep us posted. Anything else from you?
No, that's about it.
No? Right, cool. Yeah. Likewise, my dog's been barking his head off for the last 10 minutes. So I probably better run up there and let him out. I've been trying to mute my side as I hear him going, but so apologies if it's been distracting.
I didn't hear anything, but better go up there before he stops barking and is happy again.
All right, good catching up. We'll talk later.
Yep. See you. Bye.